Hi, Kirby. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks. How
Good.
are you?
I'm doing really well. So, I think today we're going to get started just talking about one of our products, but then we will start talking about something that really does have to do with the holiday season, which is getting
Okay.
scammed. But the first thing I want to mention is that we do have product to promote, and that is going to be, let's see if I find it on here. So weird that like it's in a different order right now. I don't know what's going on, but let me usually like if I click on it, I should have had this one preloaded. But anyway, we do have a sale on our website. It is, well, we got the OSINT Force Multiplier. This is a big thing. It's a 3 certificate courses, which is about 41 hours of training, and then it's got some digital documents with it. The OSINT Quick Start handbook and the AI prompt playbook. But we decided if you don't want that big of a course, you don't want that big of a package, you can actually just go ahead and get the Quick Start and the Playbook, which are the 2 documents, and use those ones instead. Now, if I can just get, oh, I think I found it. Okay, there we go. So now I'll show you where that one is. There we go, OSINT Force Multiplier Template Pack. So again, it has in it the OSINT Quick Start, and that's got some templates. It's got our favorite links. It's got some not just templates, but checklists, things like that. So if you're just starting at OSINT, you start learning about the methodology and the workflow. So yeah, it has workflows. Then we also have the Analyst AI Prompt Playbook in there, and that has like all sorts of different categories of different AI prompts that you might use. And these prompts are full, not just little find me, an answer to this prompt. We're talking about full prompts with exactly what you need in them, caveats, etc. So, and per style. Um, this also is going to come with the AI assisted OPSEC self-assessment handbook, and that's going to be a tool to help you identify what your digital footprint online looks like and whether you're secure enough. Because the thing is that AI is going to be doing the assessing from now on, right? And it's going to be able to put people together in a much easier way than we do. So we wanted to create this assessment handbook to help you identify what your digital footprint looks like. And once you do yours, you can start using it forward on somebody else's as well. And then we have a free AI webinar, so you can get free or you can get it in this multiplier pack. How AI is rewriting OSINT webinar. And that one goes through a lot of those different AI prompts as well that we're talking about, just kind of how to use them and the theory behind them. So I think it's worthwhile checking out. Okay. Now, before we get on to our main topic of the day, which is going to be your, digital red flags 101, we want to talk about some of the stuff that's happening out there right now. Hey, Sailor Cyber. Sailor Cyber says hello.
Hi, Sailor Cyber.
Yay. All right. So the thing I want to mention is this show is mostly, again, I mean, it's for everybody, but we really want to focus on people who maybe are just starting at OSINT, or even just like some of the um, citizen sleuths, right? So people who aren't, they're not going to be an OSINT um, tradecraft master. Maybe you are, but again, we want to make sure that this is very clear to them as well. And so one thing I thought about was, well, there's a lot of them on places like Reddit. You'll see them in Twitter. You'll see, the citizen sleuths. But one place I know that actually has some terms of service and is good at training citizen sleuths is a website called Web Sleuths. So we're going to share Web Sleuths. Sarah, have you seen Web Sleuths before?
Nope.
All right. They've been around for a long time. I've been aware of them for a long time. I haven't really been much of a user of it, but I know that I just found out that they don't like people just accuse just anyone, right? When people are in there trying to solve the cases themselves, trying to bring up evidence themselves, there's strict rules about what can be in evidence and what cannot be. So you can see that this is a forum. It's a set of forums, most popular forums. So here it's got some little sections: Smishing forum, on trial, serial killers, crimes in the news. Sarah, is that your dog?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Double checking. All right. But I want to scroll down. So again, here's some different ones, forms people are talking about. But at the very bottom of this, they've got their terms of use. And in here, this is not the same terms of use most websites have. They are very specific about what you can put into their forum, and they will kick you out if you cannot stay on track. Okay, so I wanted to highlight them, and then I wanted to highlight a couple of the cases that are happening right now. First of all, there's a couple of shootings. There was the shooting in Bondi Beach and the shooting in Boston. And are you trying to get him to stop?
Yes, I'm sorry.
The dog is making its bed.
Yes.
Right?
Well, exactly. He's making his bed.
He's making it comfortable. Sometimes we just gotta, survive through that, right, Sarah?
Yep.
Okay, so there's also the Rob Reiner shooting. The thing I want to kind of highlight with these is people are already putting out misinformation. I mean, you might say, okay, the government's putting out misinformation, maybe about that Boston shooting, but I guess that once the person who they originally thought was a suspect, his name was out, then certain newspapers looked up that name, found another person with that name who also was a student in the same state, and went to town on that person who was not involved, and neither maybe was the original person named. Who knows? So again, the thing is, step back. Don't get excited to be publishing the thing first. And I know that that's the big thing, who figured out the name first. But honestly, even if you do figure out the name first when you're out on Reddit, on WebSleuths, whatever, you're not getting $1 million for finding it first, right?
Right.
You can hold it to yourself or even amongst a small group and wait until they maybe send proof into the authorities. And then when that person is named, then you can say, hey, my tradecraft was good, right? This is how I originally figured out who it was. And then maybe publish the information. And I know that's a hard thing for people to do, is to kind of hold back when the big, the big eyes are going to be on people who name people first. But I just wanted to highlight that again. And then I also want to kind of talk about the Rob Reiner and his wife murder, only in the same case where if you might remember a couple of weeks back where we mentioned that the law enforcement was asking people to please stay out of their investigation. And that is pretty much the same thing we're going to see happening here, where they're telling people who are hobbyists to please just stay out of the investigation, or at least be careful. Now, I'm not telling you to stay out of the investigation because I know better. I know you're not going to, right? I know the citizen suits are not going to. But what I'm going to ask you to do is, again, take some advice, and we're going to really talk about a little bit of it today. Sarah's going to tell us a little bit about no touch as we go through, right? But a way that you don't mess up the evidence and you don't tip off the crooks that certain things have been found, right? You don't end up getting evidence deleted, stuff like that. All right, so anyway, this is a video from Brian Enton, who's a reporter, and he's standing out in front of interviewing her. She's one of his colleagues, and they're standing out in front of the Rob Reiner house. And I've got 2 clips from this one that I wanted to play. So here's the first one.
Ever since that time, it seems that every law enforcement entity around has really put the clamp down on any information that they put out to the public. And they do that because they just are tired of all the courtroom drama and everything being challenged for every reason, and this burgeoning conspiracy theory world we're living in right now. It's just too much. So they're really keeping everything super close to the vest.
Okay, and so that, again, going to the conspiracy theory, I want to argue that that's not necessarily the best, because if you look at the stuff that happened in the Brian Coburg in Idaho, they kept everything quiet, and the conspiracy theories actually grew because people started inventing their own evidence. So I don't think that complete quiet is the best necessarily on some cases.
I actually totally agree with you on that. Is a lot of times when there is complete quiet, or you do try and not release anything, that sometimes ends up fueling the conspiracy theories. So
what is it? The internet abhors a vacuum, right? So it'll fill
Right.
things in. And so,
Right.
yeah. Okay, and then here's the investigators and the DA, police telling people to please stay out of their business. But again, we'll see.
His actions. At this point, again, you will hear in the media rumors, you will hear speculation, you will hear hearsay. What I'm asking everyone to do is to rely on trusted sources. If it doesn't come from the district attorney's office, from LAPD, from the coroner's office, or from the courtroom itself, then there's a good chance you are hearing misinformation. Because at the appropriate time, the actual evidence involved in this case will be presented in a court of law.
And I do support that. Again, if you don't hear it coming officially, I mean, people are going to be putting all sorts of evidence and stuff out there. But remember that unless it comes from a reliable source, that it could be misinformation. It could be real. Like TMZ has a pretty good history of putting out real stuff, right? So, and when you think about, a reliable source, you go back to the history. And even TMZ could be considered a reliable source because they have been pretty dead on. But it was a newspaper who found the other person with the same name in the Boston shooting example, and they were completely wrong, and they had published it. So you got to be very wary of source, especially if the source is just social media stuff.
Right. Well, and even if it is a reliable source, a lot of times,
Maybe they're trying to get out first too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're trying to get out first too, and so a lot of times there's still misinformation. But because it's a human being is gathering the information, and we make mistakes. So if it's early in that news cycle, a lot of times that's where more mistakes happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have another kind of a news item that's going on, and this one is about Australia, and that is about the age limit in Australia. So I'm going to add to stage. This is Struthless. He's a very interesting YouTuber. He's got some really interesting, like very cerebral stuff out there. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, but he is talking about the social media ban for the children under 16, and he has a paranoia about it. So I'm going to kind of start his video, but then I will, of course, give you the link in our show notes.
Media ban for children.
I don't know why I still have it on down low, but anyway.
Under the age of 16. And within that, we have 3 definitions. Firstly, we have social media, which refers to 10 specific websites. At the moment, it has the usual suspects: Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok. But the list itself is not static. It will change as new social medias, things like Yope, which has come in to dominate the market, start to get a bit more traction. They will also very likely make it onto the list. So that's social media. Then we get to the word ban, which just means complete restricted access. You just cannot use it. And this is set to be done by the companies themselves to geo-lock and age lock themselves out of Australia. The fine is just under 50 million Australian dollars for companies who don't act in line with the legislation. Then we get to the definition that is deceptively simple. For children under the age of 16. What does that mean? Now, that might sound like a stupid question, but it's actually kind of terrifying when you think about it. To be under the age of 16 in this definition doesn't just mean that you are under the age of 16. It means that you are provably under the age of 16. And that provably can be a very slippery slope. This gets real weird when you look into the actual mechanics of who verifies their age. Is it the government? No, it's the companies. It's the private companies. They've put the onus on them. That's weird, man. We'll get to why later. But first, I want to be fair. I want to go through the best arguments for the ban, then the best arguments against the ban.
All right. Now, this isn't much of a spoiler because I'm not talking about the end of the video, but when we get a little further in the video, he talks about how if you are proving people are under 16, that you're also proving people are over 16, in which case you have like something like a digital ID, and that digital ID then can be expanded to use it for all sorts of reasons, including how much your car insurance is going to cost, your social score for getting loans, things like that. It's kind of some Black Mirror stuff. What do you think, Sarah?
Well, I mean, I think that you can make a slippery slope argument. At the same time, I do think that there needs to be an age limit for digital youth and utilizing these platforms. I know that Greece is looking at 15. So
In this video, he addresses that a lot of places around the world are like looking at this example and seeing what's going to happen with it.
But I do think that, you know, like every country has different laws on what you can do at different ages. So like if you're going to go buy alcohol in the United States, and you have to show an ID that you're 21. In this instance, and you have to show that ID to the, you know, person in the store who's not a government official. I think the big difference between being in a physical store though and online is online it can be maintained.
Exactly.
Whereas, you know, when you're in a store, you're just showing it to him and you take it back. So I'm not quite sure what the guardrails will be, but I do think that there is a definite possibility for a slippery slope for it to snowball into applying to other things. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I agree with you that youth should be protected against some of these algorithms specifically, because the algorithms are designed to get them caught up and into a certain sales funnel, or, you know.
Well, and it's not just the algorithms, it's the youth's data is being maintained by these private companies. They're minors. You have corporate,
and they don't necessarily care about your privacy except when it hits their bottom line.
Right. But you have these corporate entities that are keeping information on all these minors. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to before we get to our thing, they mentioned a social media tool that I had not heard of until I watched his video. Sarah, did you catch that? It said of a social media tool called Yope.
Oh, I saw that. Yope. Yeah.
Which is apparently gaining speed in Australia, maybe elsewhere as well. So something else to add to your awareness map. All right, let's talk about our main topic though. Let's talk about, this is the season for scamming. Sailor Cyber, you thought that the Yope one was kind of interesting, right? I definitely think that's interesting. I definitely want to check it out. Okay, so it is the Christmas season, and the Christmas season is also the scam season. So let's talk about scams and digital red flags, basically what you can do to protect yourself from all these scams. So first of all, we have an article about the top 12 scams of Christmas in BC, and I think more than just BC, right? But this is a Canadian article. So we'll scroll down.
I'm not Canadian, but I pulled this one because I like the picture of the puppies.
I know, yes, it could be. You got pictures of dogs? Sarah's there. All right. Going down. All right, misleading social media ads. So flashy steals on everything. But now, before we even talk about that too much, the social media stuff, there was another article about Meta that was out there just recently, and that was that even though they had reported about that they had made billions off of scam ads, they're still not doing anything about it and will be expected to make billions off of it next year. All right. So when you see the misleading social media ads, social media is not necessarily putting the brakes on it, right? They don't care if you get scammed. They care that they're getting ad revenue. So you need to pay attention to these scams. You can see it in this article. I'll read a little bit because I know it might be small, but you will have the link as well. But flashy deals on everything from toys to designer clothes, which can lead to non-delivery, hidden subscriptions, or counterfeit products. I'd say all three of those I've had, even just coming to places like Amazon, right? Because I believe Amazon does much better than the social media does, because social media will just let you ad for whatever, and Amazon, you have to actually come into their program, and they can kick you right back out of their program. But I know that I have family members who have ordered things online from Facebook ads, and I have been tempted because there's some interesting ones. But the non-delivery thing, I think, is very real. I imagine the hidden subscription charges as well, but the counterfeit products, almost all of us have at least gotten counterfeit products at least once, right?
Yeah. Well, it's even gotten worse than that, is that some of the ads that are on Facebook and some of the other platforms that are malvertising you click on it and it ends up actually compromising your operating system.
Yeah, possibly.
So,
I think the first link
yeah.
will not. I think that Facebook wouldn't let it, but the link after that,
Right.
Facebook no longer has.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Social media gift exchanges. So apparently some of these gift exchanges trick you into sending money or gifts to unknown individuals with the promise of getting more in return. I haven't really seen that, but pyramid scheme style.
mhm.
And I can absolutely imagine that's everywhere. Holiday themed apps, always review the privacy policy. To get into the app store, they have to be at a certain level as far as malware, etc. But that doesn't mean that they're not still stealing your data and that they're not necessarily worthless. If an app advertises itself as something, look to see how many people have downloaded it. Does it have any reviews? Because a lot of times people come in and say, "This app sucks." It doesn't really have these, choices, etc. Fake toll or traffic ticket texts. I did get some toll ones. Did you, Sarah? Have you gotten any of these texts before? So
Nope.
it'll be something about my fast pass. I haven't used a fast pass in 10 years, so
I just want to say on the holiday apps, I did a real quick query. So far there's the NORAD Truck Santa Claus app.
that would be real, wouldn't it?
That one, it might be real.
I'm sure that there's fake ones like trying to pose as it, but NORAD will have an app.
There's another one, Santa Tracker, that looks kind of. I wouldn't download it. But there's multiple Santa Tracker apps. Oh, Speak to Santa. There's you go Speak to Santa app. So
I want to point out that when you make an app, you can name it whatever you want. I can make an app named Facebook, and it will get into the app stores if it's correct. Doesn't mean it's going to raise in the app stores that anybody is going to see it, but I can make it because that is not copyrightable. It's like the title of a book. I imagine the company Facebook is, but the app itself is not copyrightable, the name of the app. And so when you see a bunch of apps, like there could be a dozen NORAD Santa trackers.
Right.
You find the one that's from NORAD.
Right. Exactly. You have to actually vet it. And then you have the test ones, like for not your nice test meter.
Right. Yeah.
That's like, that's personality profiling right there.
Well, and that's what a lot of the personality tests throughout the last 10 years have been about.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Free gift card offers. I think that's pretty off, free almost anything. Got to look at that source. Who's the source? It doesn't matter what they're offering for free. I'm going to look and say, do they look like they're real? Do they have a history? Not necessarily a history of giving free gifts, but a history of existing and like acting like a normal human or a normal company, right? Temporary holiday jobs. And I know that is actually one of the biggest things. It's not necessarily holiday jobs, but just fake jobs in general. People who are desperate and looking for jobs are getting emails about these different job hunters, et cetera, and the jobs don't exist, or they're mule jobs or something like that, scams. And it's heartbreaking because people need jobs right now. So I do find that one to be like particularly vicious. Imposter scams. So they fake websites. I've done some cases with some imposter scams. Fake charities. This could be so simple. It looks like a GoFundMe for something that's real. So maybe a GoFundMe for some of the victims in Boston. And if you don't know the history, the story behind it, you don't know that that's necessarily a fake one. So there can be some of those. Fake shipping notifications. I think this one's been around quite a while, where it says, we weren't able to deliver your package. Click here, right?
Right.
Sarah, have you ever gotten one of those? I've gotten one of those.
I've gotten those. Yeah, it's like, hold on. So if it says, one of the things I was going to say on that is you always hover over the URL to see what the URL actually is. And you have to pay very close attention to it because it could be even like just a letter off, and so it's always better to hand jam the URL into a browser to make sure it's the correct one, and then go there and check your package. And don't
Yeah,
click on the link at all.
let's unpack that a little bit. Okay, so
Yeah.
if it comes via text, it's very hard to hover. You're going to have to hold the link. If you just happen to accidentally just click it, though, you go to the link. We don't want you to do that. The way to hover on mobile is to hold it tight. If that seems too difficult, just hand jam it in. But on the website, if it comes in your email, when she's talking about hovering, if you hover over any link with your cursor on your website, you're going to look down to the bottom, usually the bottom left, but sometimes the bottom right, depending on which browser you're on. And you're going to be able to see that break out to what the real URL is going to be. No matter what it says in the email, it might say security.amazon.com. You look down below, it might say security.amazon.com, but one of the O's is a 0. Or what I find is like sneakier is it'll be Amazon security.amazon.com security, compliance.com. And securitycompliance.com in that case is the domain. Amazon is not.
Right.
I have the domain pluses.net. I can make subdomain that says security.amazon.com, and what it'll do is it'll look at like security.amazon.com.pluses.net. The last two sections with the dots, that's the domain. So like you see a string and then there's a slash, the two before the slash, that's the domain. Anything before it is a subdomain, and anybody can put whatever they want on their own website as a subdomain.
Right.
So I might make a fake subdomain like that says, okay, this is how scam subdomain looks. That might be something useful to put on my website. Okay, so fake advent calendar scams. Popular advent calendars promoted on social media may not arrive or may turn out to be low quality knockoffs. And I would go that with the fake ads. That seems, and I think that is pretty strong out there too. Holiday wish items and puppy scams. And I think we talked about puppy scams before, where people advertise puppies, yeah, some really interesting, there's a lot of scams. It's the biggest scam holiday out there right now. So you need to pay attention. All right, let's talk about red flags for phishing. All right, so I'm going to play a few seconds of this.
Phishing emails are one of the most common ways scammers try to steal your personal information and even your money. The good news, if you know what to look for, you can spot them before they do any damage. So let's take a look at the red flags. First of all, always check the sender's address. Scammers often create email addresses that look legitimate at first glance, but if you look closely, you'll spot something off, like extra characters, misspellings, or unusual domains. In this case, this says Netflix accounts instead of just Netflix.com. A real company won't send you emails from strange or lookalike addresses. Next up, you'll want to look out for urgent or threatening language. Phrases like, act now, your account will be locked, or in this case, your account is on hold, or even immediate action required. These are designed to make you panic and click without thinking. Real companies rarely use fear to push you into a quick decision. And in most cases, if you have a subscription to something, they'll let you know in advance when your payment isn't working out. Next, you want to look for generic greetings. In this email, it just says hello. A phishing email often uses a generic greeting like dear customer or dear user or hello.
Okay, we're going to stop it there. We mentioned some of the things already. She's going to talk about links next, but it's a good video to check out again. Check out our yeah, go ahead.
The one thing is, like, when she was talking about a generic hello and it's sent to everybody, that's just generic phishing. A lot of times that'll also show up in your spam box, not always. But spear phishing is when they actually, spear phishing is when they know your name and they put it in there. So,
and it's not difficult for them to know your name. They get some dumped data, they know your name, and there's automated, email programs that are going to fill your name in. So it's not going to be too unusual to see your name even on a phishing email.
Right.
All right. Personal info requests. So let's go into this next one. What are some email flags for personal info requests? So we'll play a little bit of this one.
Legitimate organizations rarely, if ever, ask for personal data like passwords or full credit card numbers directly through an email link. They already have most of your necessary information, and if an update is needed, they will usually direct you to a secure portal on their official website, accessible by typing their web address directly into your browser. Specifically, be wary of emails with poor grammar or spelling, sender addresses that do not match the organization they claim to be from, and unexpected attachments. Always hover your mouse over any links without clicking them. If the displayed URL does not match the official website address, it is a major red flag. If you receive an email requesting personal details that raises any suspicion, do not click on any links or download any attachments within that email. Instead, directly navigate to the official website of the organization by typing its address into your web browser or by using a trusted contact number to call them directly.
And that's some of the stuff we've already kind of mentioned.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right. And if a store gets annoyed with you because you want to call them directly, then they have bad customer service. So-
Yeah, it's either a scam or they have horrible customer service, in which case you don't want to deal with them anyway.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
All right. I'm going to change my audio before I open this next one because I keep forgetting to readjust my audio. Okay, let's see. All right, so this is an interesting one. I personally love the idea of tracking pixels and how to use them and that sort of stuff, but I think that for a lot of people out in the regular public, they don't understand that these things exist at all. So this is ways to block email tracking pixels. When people send you emails, you don't even need to see anything in them. You open them, you look at the email, it doesn't look like there's anything tracking you. It can be tracking you. And it's kind of fun and amazing to do that, but also you need to protect yourself. So here we go.
Ways to block email tracking pixels. To protect your privacy, you can disable automatic image loading in your email settings. This prevents most tracking pixels from working. Alternatively, use email providers or security tools with built-in tracking protection. Browser extensions like UBlock Origin or specific anti-tracking add-ons can also help. Staying cautious with unsolicited emails further reduces exposure.
So I'll put this link in the chat, but of course also it will be in the show notes.
I really liked this video actually also because at the very beginning a very good explanation of what tracking pixels are and how they work, and so I thought that was helpful.
Even read receipts, and here's how I kind of use as an example of explaining what they are. So if I were to email you an email that has a read receipt on it, and maybe I'm on Yahoo and you're on Gmail, when I send that email and you open your Gmail email, so you read it and I get the alert that you've read it, that's a tracking pixel. It's a little, maybe 1 pixel by 1 pixel invisible image that's embedded in that. And when she opens that email, the HTML fires off. And because it's HTML, when you look at a website, those are HTML, the server gets your data. That little pixel, because it's sitting on a server somewhere, grabs your data down to a server, and then they send the read receipt. But you don't need it doesn't need to be a read receipt. I can put a tracker in any email just to grab people's IP addresses. Whether they might be using a VPN, but I can still grab that IP address of that VPN.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, and I like Proton because Proton has built-in blocking for most of that stuff. But a lot of the email, if you're using a free email service, a lot of times it's not secure. So you really need to look at the settings in your email service to make sure.
There's one that is.
Yeah.
Outlook. They don't explain why, but Outlook, when it's blocking other images, it's blocking that kind of tracking. Go ahead, Sarah. Let's explain where you go to get your settings.
Yes. So you always check your settings of whatever email service you're using to make sure that you harden the system for images coming through, like he said in the video. So you want to block all images, and then, like in the case of Proton, you can decide to show the images if you want to, but at that point, you're taking a risk of accepting that tracking if it's present.
Right. In most email services, it's going to be block images. So you find a place where it's allow images or block images, or block HTML. It might say allow HTML or block HTML. That's going to be the two variations. And what you're going to do is you're just blocking HTML, blocking image HTML, outside images. It doesn't affect any of your attachments. It just says that, hey, I want to, not automatically allow outside images unless I look at the email and I think, oh, I know it's just the signature of my friend who's in the Army, whatever. I don't care if they get, for tracking for that. You'll know ahead of time. It'll give you a little warning. All right. Next one on our list is, let's talk about the hidden privacy difference. And Sarah found this one as well between Google and paid Google. So it's the same thing. It's just on how you deal with Google. Now, I'll say that Sarah and we're lucky we actually pay for a Google account with our company. But I'm sure, and I'm sure everyone else is also using a free Google account. It's super popular. So we'll watch a couple of seconds of this one.
Hey, it's Chris. Did you know that Google has 2 different privacy rules, and most people are on the wrong one, the worst one? I found this out accidentally when I was checking out Google Gemini, and I switched my accounts between one sort of account and another account. And I noticed a little icon. It's this icon right here, this little shield with the lock inside. But then as I did some digging, you can see I realized it appeared on my workspace account, but not on my personal account. Now, I, like you, already know that Google's been collecting people's data for a long time at this point. But what I didn't realize is that the privacy controls that you end up getting don't really give you that much privacy. The real privacy setting is the account type, which actually.
Okay, so we're gonna pause on this, and of course, you'll get the link. You want to know like what you can do with it, but yeah, if you pay for a paid account, and they are not expensive. You get your own domain. You can make a family domain if you want to, just for that little bit of privacy, depending on how much you want to spend. It's for my company, we spend maybe $50 a month, and that's for more than just different users. I mean, we got multiple users. We have a couple other things. A family might spend $15 a month.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's if you insist on using Google, because you don't have to use Google. There's a lot of other things out there. Sarah mentioned Proton. Sarah pays for Proton, but you can use Proton for free. Sarah, how much Proton?
What?
How much do you pay for Proton?
Ooh, well, I probably more than most people would, because I have the visionary plan.
Okay, yeah, so she goes up to the high-end plan of it, which includes a whole bunch of cool stuff. But you could pay just for an email account or on Proton, but you don't even have to. You can use the free one.
Yeah, but I mean, there's very reasonable plans on there, and I went full out geek on Proton just because I really like Proton. So
yeah, I agree.
But there's a lot of other subscription levels that you can get, and there's so many things that you can do with it, including there's an encrypted hard drive, there's a password protector, password protection suite, there's a VPN. I mean, yeah, so it's internal AI.
I pay separately for a password manager. And instead, it could like be all in my Proton, email, Drive, things like that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So.
All right, let's go. Let's knock out the next one.
You can have your company domains all on Proton too.
Oh, yeah, I imagine you probably could.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we set it up a long time ago, but they said we can't move. Right. All right. 3 text warnings you must see. Is the title of this short. So we'll watch the short.
Computers hum. Stolen voices flood the room. 20 men
Scam
fake
texts
emergency.
look real now. Here's how they trick you. Let us spot 3 red flags, fast. Flag number 1, generic dear customer. Your real bank knows your name. Flag number 2, urgent timer. Act in 30 minutes or account locked. Flag number 3, weird link. Banksecureverified.info. Hover, URL is not your bank. Got any of these? Delete. Then report to your carrier. Comment if you have seen scams like this. Subscribe for weekly cyber safety.
So I want to say that there's something you can do with that link before you use it as well. So instead of, again, if it's coming from your mobile, you've got to hold it down and then you can copy the link. And if it comes on email, you can right click on it and copy the link, and you can take it to a tool called SafeWeb, safeweb.norton.com. I think everybody's heard of Norton antivirus company. It's a very, they're one of these good companies. And you can paste that into SafeWeb and identify whether SafeWeb says it's good or not. Another thing I do on some of the links that come through is I throw them into Whois. There's a million Whois tools. Just search for Whois. But my favorite, whois.domaintools.com, tells you how, like the registration details. A lot of times these scam websites, because they get marked so fast, they create them and they ditch them. They create another one, they ditch them. And so it'll be, a month old at that, maybe days old. Right. And that's a definite scam reminder. Nobody has a website that's only a couple days old that's going to be telling you your Netflix is about to expire or whatever.
Right.
So we've got another short. And I think the shorts is when I load them up, if they want to go on to the next video, but we'll see if we can get it to behave. All right, here we go. Oh, I'm not sure. You usually tell me then. You usually. Sarah's like, how long will she not realize it's not shared? Okay. I look over and I'm like, oh, there's Sarah looking at me. Okay. All right. Here we go.
Have you received texts claiming your package is delayed, your bank account is compromised, or your account will be suspended? It may be a smishing attempt.
Smishing is a word that many people might not be familiar with. It actually stands for SMS, or short message service phishing. It's a type of phishing that you get on your mobile device.
Now I'm going to stop that one because again, that's Newsweek and we don't want to overdo any copyrights. But yeah, it's informative. And a lot of people are putting these informative videos out right now for scam season.
I also just like the sound of smishing.
Yeah, it is a better sounding word than phishing. It's kind of fun to, smishing.
Did you get smished today?
And my answer will be probably. All right, here we go. Let's talk about maximizing privacy. We've got a couple of videos on how to maximize privacy on your Google account. Here's the first one.
Today I'll just be doing a quick video showing you a few settings you can tweak on your Google account to maximize your privacy. So as you may know, Google collects data on its users and sells it to the highest bidder. And they also use this data to personalize your experience to show you more relevant ads. Now, in a perfect world, we could just simply not use Google at all. But we don't live in a perfect world. And unfortunately, in today's digital age, Google is a necessary evil. However,
all right.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to say a part of the reason why I noticed this video was I really liked his screensavers. It has that whole matrix thing.
Digital rain. Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. But he does give some very common sense kind of tips in there. I don't agree with everything he says, but I think he gives a very good foundational, base common sense kind of tips, and it's a good watch, which is why I put it in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll go on to the next one. They're both basically about privacy. So let's talk. This one's about private in your Google. But by the way, this is talking about those public free Google accounts, right? So if
Yeah, but yeah.
All right. The next one is talking about browser privacy.
Right.
So let's share that screen. There we go.
The first biggest setting is the safe browsing mode. Now, by default, it's probably going to be standard, but I would recommend actually setting it to enhanced. That's what I use. And there is a privacy aspect. It does send every URL you visit to Google to analyze, but I mean, that is kind of necessary from the fact that it's going to analyze it. And it's different from the standard mode where my understanding is it might download a list of known malicious sites every several hours, if not once a day. And if you happen to visit a site that is known, but it didn't download that list yet, then you're not protected. Whereas in this case, it will always be the most up-to-date response. And this
So anyway, he's talking about that for different specific browsers. So again, another good one to watch.
Mhm.
What do you think, Sarah?
Well, I think. Well, I mean, I think that if you're concerned about browser security, I think it's important to look at those kind of settings. If you're concerned about browser privacy, you should be off of Google. I mean, you shouldn't be using Chrome.
Well, not necessarily off of Google, but on maybe Brave. Not on Google's Chrome, but on something else.
Right. Be on Brave or use a isolated environment, like Chasm to use Google.
Chasm would be good.
Yeah, that one's good. Use a virtual machine. Always use a VPN with your Google. And if you have a Google account, that's your emails attached to your internet searches, and if it's for research,
Isolate it too.
Yeah, isolate it too, and don't have that research account under your first name, last name, puppy's name, dog, cat's name. Cyber Sailor had that they like cats up here earlier. I like cats too, but the yeah, you want to have it separate from your PII, and they do track whatever you put into Google, and they do tag it to you for advertising and for their algorithms. And if there's been people who have been arrested who weren't doing anything wrong, but they were misunderstood as doing something wrong from their queries and geolocation. So it's important to look at the security settings on your browser and then really think about how you're using it and how private you want to be with it.
I have multiple browsers, for example, and some of on my work computer. When I say work computer, I don't mean my research computer, not my investigative computer, but my computer where I pay the bills. That kind of computer, I have different browsers for different things. But if I'm going to do research or if I'm going to do investigations, I would need to be in a whole different interface. That could be a virtual machine. For me, it's a completely different computer.
Yep. I like using Chasm. So
yeah, Chasm is great. That's a virtual machine, but it's in the cloud, so you don't have to maintain it. You just log in.
Yep.
All right, it is time for some slop. We got two things of slop for you today. One is a commercial, I guess. I haven't seen this in the wild. Sarah may have. We'll go ahead and watch it.
It's the most terrible time of the year. All the shops turn to mayhem, even Santa knows space, and the tree redecorated your place. It's the most terrible time of the year. So you flee from the madness, the lights, and the cheer, and hide out in McDonald's till January's here.
All right, Sarah, have you seen that one in the wild?
So McDonald's came out with this slop that they decided to use for an advertisement. And unfortunately, it didn't. From a marketing perspective, it's not getting the warm reception that I guess they wanted the humor to receive. I think it's a good example of why you should be more careful with utilizing AI for commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, but I put it in there as an example though because it's being so discussed right now. I mean I mean there's so much commentary on it. I don't think that. I mean, I do think that you can use AI for commercials, and I do most certainly think that McDonald's can use AI for commercials. But I think that you need to
double check
and
control
maybe
the
do
story.
right.
No, that is something that is being talked about a lot. I know that there was somebody on my LinkedIn who actually mentioned this, and what he mentioned was that there's a way right now that you can have certain AIs talk to an auto publisher, and so the AI makes the commercial, auto publishes it. You're not in there at all. It's running your whole marketing campaign. You've never seen anything. That's not a wise thing to do, I think, at this point. Maybe in the future, but right now, you do need that person to. That's going to work. That's not going to work.
Yeah, and I'm sure that commercial appealed to part of their target audience, and I'm sure that they did market research on it. But yeah, it's definitely a controversial.
I guess there was a drink company, like a soda drink company, somewhere in the world that tried the auto publisher one, and it wasn't necessarily a good fit for them.
No.
All right, one more bit of slop, and this has to do with the fact that this is our last broadcast for 2025. Right, Sarah?
Oh my goodness, it is.
Yeah, we're going to take off for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Spend time with our families, spend time working, I guess. I don't know. But we will be back. For those of you who come to our pre-planning sessions, that's going to happen on January 2nd. And on January 7th, that's when our next broadcast is going to be.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, one more bit of slop. And this is our own slop. Here we go. Happy New Year. Have a great holiday.
Happy holidays and Happy New Year. So
Thank you for being with us.
yeah. And we'll see you in the new year.
Yep, we'll see you next
Okay.
year. All right.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.